Now we move on to the questions for the topic quadratic equations. So the first question is, find out the domain of under root of the function under root of 3 minus x plus 1 upon log of x to the base 10. Let's see how we solve this question.
Exactly. So in such type of question, first of all we have a look at the expression root 3 minus x. Now we know that since this is a square root number, so 3 minus x is supposed to be greater than equal to 0, as root for a negative number is irrational. Thus we say that first case comes from here, that is x is less than equal to 3. So this becomes our first case. Secondly, we see that log of x to the base 10, since it is in the denominator, it cannot be equal to 0. This being the first case, and moreover we know that log, if since x comes under log, therefore x is supposed to be greater than 0. It can't be a number less than equal to 0, because log is defined only if x is greater than 0.
Yeah.
And also, as we know that log of x is not equal to 0 here, as log x is in the denominator, thus we know that x cannot also be equal to 1.
Because log of 1 is 0.
Exactly, log of 1 is 0 and it can't be in the denominator, otherwise it would be infinity. So therefore we now combine the three possible values of x, that is from cases 1, 2 and 3, and 0, 1 and 3, and here we get the answer to be, as we know it is greater than 0 and not equal to 1. Therefore it can take these values, and secondly it can take the other value, it is also less than equal to 3. Therefore, drawing an open circle at 1, the values come till 3. Therefore we say that the domain here is that x belongs to 0 to 1 union open bracket 1 2 3 close bracket.
Yeah, so in this question we see a very basic concept called the domain. The domain is the range of x for which the value of the function is real, right? So in JEE these questions do not come directly, but the concept of domain as such is very important, and it can be a part of a bigger question, a more tricky question. So yeah, making the number line and plotting the values and the way Parul has done this question is a very important trick, right?
Exactly, and in such questions we define the function piecewise and check the validity of each piece.
Yeah, so that's question number 1. Now we move on to question number 2, which is, form an equation whose roots are squares of the sum and the difference of the roots of the equation 2x square plus 2 into m plus n of x plus m square plus n square is equals to 0. तो हमें एक इक्वेशन दी हुई है, हमें एक और इक्वेशन बनानी है जिसके रूट्स इस इक्वेशन के रूट्स का सम का स्क्वायर हो और डिफरेंस का स्क्वायर हो. तो लेट्स सी हम ये क्वेश्चन कैसे करते हैं.
First of all, we take the roots of this equation to be alpha and beta. So defining its sum, we know that alpha plus beta will come out to be minus of m plus n, and also alpha into beta will come out to be m square plus n square divided by 2.
Yeah.
Now we see हमें एक ऐसी इक्वेशन चाहिए जिसके रूट्स हों अल्फा प्लस बीटा का होल स्क्वायर एंड अल्फा माइनस बीटा का होल स्क्वायर. तो इसमें we define the sum to be alpha plus beta whole square plus alpha minus beta whole square. Simply just opening the brackets and calculating, we see that it comes out to be 2 into alpha square plus beta square. So this on simply we have the formulas defined for alpha plus beta and alpha beta. So we simplify this in terms of alpha plus beta and alpha beta. That is, it comes out to be 2 into alpha plus beta whole square minus 2 alpha beta. That is, on putting the values, it comes out to be 4m into n. Now after that, we need to calculate the product. That is alpha plus beta whole square into alpha minus beta whole square.
Right.
हम लोगों को अल्फा प्लस बीटा और अल्फा बीटा की वैल्यूज पता है. So we try to break alpha minus beta in the form of alpha plus beta and alpha beta. Now we know that alpha minus beta whole square is alpha square plus beta square minus 2 alpha beta.
Okay.
It could be written as alpha plus beta whole square minus 4 alpha beta.
Yeah.
For which we have the values. Now coming back to our product, we get alpha plus beta whole square into alpha plus beta whole square minus 4 alpha beta.
So now everything is in terms of alpha plus beta and alpha beta.
And we have the values of these in terms of
M
m
and
and
n.
n. Exactly. So now putting those values, we get this to be minus of m square minus n square का whole square. तो और हमें पता है कि if we know the sum of the roots and the product of the roots, our equation is of the form x square minus sx plus p is equal to 0, where s being the sum and p being the product. Thus the required equation comes to be x square minus 4 m into n into x minus m square minus n square का whole square is equal to 0.
Yeah. तो जैसे the question was talking about sum and product of roots, so that is our cue to use the sum and products formula. And in most of the questions you can start with sum of the roots and product of the roots. It gives you a direction in which the question will move.
And this question also, in the starting, it seems to be a tough one, having so many variables, but actually it's very easy if you just start breaking it down.
We should always avoid to open the brackets completely. हमें देखना चाहिए कि अगर simplification का scope है तो we should go with simplification, and we should be very careful about the signs.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, that was question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. If alpha beta are roots of x square plus px plus q is equals to 0, and gamma and delta are the roots of x square plus rx plus s is equals to 0, find the value of the expression alpha minus gamma into alpha minus delta into beta minus delta into beta minus gamma in terms of PQRS. Hence deduce the condition for two equations to have a common root. तो हमें दिया हुआ है कि अल्फा बीटा एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस पी एक्स प्लस क्यू के रूट्स हैं, गामा डेल्टा एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस आर एक्स प्लस एस के रूट्स हैं, और हमें इस एक्सप्रेशन की वैल्यू निकालनी है इन टर्म्स ऑफ पी क्यू आर एस, और एक ऐसी कंडीशन निकालनी है जब जो दोनों इक्वेशंस दी हुई हैं उन दे हैव अ कॉमन रूट. तो लेट्स सी हाउ टू गो अबाउट दिस क्वेश्चन.
ओके, नाउ वी आर गिवन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कि एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस पी एक्स प्लस क्यू जो है हमारा इज इक्वल टू 0. इसके दो रूट्स है अल्फा और बीटा, और ऐसे ही एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस आर एस प्लस आर एक्स प्लस एस इक्वल टू 0 है जो उसके दो रूट है गामा और डेल्टा. नाउ क्योंकि इसके रूट अल्फा और बीटा है, हमें पता है कि अल्फा प्लस बीटा इज इक्वल टू माइनस पी एंड अल्फा प्लस बीटा इज इक्वल टू क्यू, और यहाँ पे हमें पता है कि गामा प्लस डेल्टा इज इक्वल टू माइनस आर एंड गामा डेल्टा इज इक्वल टू एस.
राइट.
The property of this sum and product of roots is a common property that we use in most of the questions of quadratic.
Right.
तो इसमें हम देखते हैं कि we have now we just write our expression first, that is alpha minus gamma into alpha minus delta into beta minus gamma into beta minus delta. If you can see, this is quite a symmetric type of an expression. So just if we just expand it, that is we multiply these two together and these two together, we get it to be alpha square plus minus gamma plus delta into alpha plus gamma delta, and this multiplied by beta square minus gamma plus delta into beta square into beta plus gamma delta. Now we know that the value of gamma plus delta is r, and also is minus r, and again here it's minus r.
So that is why we multiplied the two brackets, because
exactly, so that we need to find the expression in terms of p, q, r and s. So we try to eliminate alpha, beta, gamma and delta step by step. Also we know that gamma, delta, the product is s, here also it's s. So basically we get the expression in the form alpha square plus r alpha plus s into beta square plus r beta plus s. Now we try to eliminate these alpha square and beta square as they are in degree 2. Now we know that alpha square is the root of x square plus px plus q, and also beta is also root of x square plus px plus q. So we can write that alpha square plus p alpha plus q is equal to 0. That is, the value of alpha square can be written to be minus p alpha minus q. Similarly, the value of beta square can also written to be minus p alpha minus q. Thus we put the values of alpha square and beta square in the expression that we just found out above.
Okay.
So we do this to remove the degree 2 and get the expression in linear terms. Thus replacing the values, we get the expression to be minus p alpha minus q plus r alpha plus s into minus p beta minus q plus r beta plus s. Thus we see that on simplifying this expression, this whole of a thing by using simple factorization and algebraic expression, we get the answer to be r minus p whole square into q plus s minus q whole square plus s minus q into r minus p into alpha plus beta. Now, since alpha plus beta is the only expression in terms of alpha, beta, gamma and delta left, we simply replace it again in terms of p, q, r and s. Thus, solving this expression further, we get the value to be r minus p into qr minus ps plus s minus q whole square. So this is the value of the given long expression.
Okay, simply by taking the common terms out
Exactly.
and substituting.
Exactly. Now coming to the second part of the question, it says that if the equations have a common root, then we know that obviously if either तो alpha is equal to gamma, या फिर alpha होगा हमारा delta के बराबर, या फिर beta होगा gamma, या फिर beta होगा delta के बराबर. Obviously we know that alpha cannot be equal to beta and gamma is not equal to delta, because these are the roots of the same equation and again these are the roots of the same equation. Now we know that if one of these four, even if one of these four is true, then our big expression that we were supposed to find in the question, this would tend to 0, as at least one of the brackets would be equal to 0. So we see that our expression comes to be 0, that is the value we just found out, r minus p into qr minus ps plus s minus q whole square. This value will be equal to 0. Thus this is the condition for two equations to have one common root. So we could also say it in the form that if ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 and a dash x square plus b dash x plus c dash equal to 0, and if these equations have one common root, we say that bc dash minus b dash c into ab dash minus a dash b, this comes to be a dash c minus ac dash whole square. Okay. This is first thing. We also have one small thing, that is if two equations have both the roots common, that is we have alpha is equal to gamma or delta and beta is also equal to 1 of gamma or delta. For that case also we have the equation here again being the same. For that we have the condition a by a dash should be equal to b by b dash, which should be equal to c by c dash.
Yeah, obviously.
So this being the condition for one common root and the second one being the condition for both roots common, that is two common roots.
Okay. So yeah, in this question we introduce the concept of common roots, two equations having one common root or two common roots, and for the case when two equations have two common roots, it's pretty easy, but this expression can be remembered, it can help you, but mostly you will need to derive equations and yeah, so
and as we saw, this condition can be derived very easily.
Yeah, so in this question we also saw pretty lengthy simplification of the expression. So these things will start striking you once you practice enough, right? So yeah, that was question number 3. Yeah, now we move on to question number 4, which says if a is greater than 0 and a is not equal to 1, then the equation 2 log of a to the base x plus log of a to the base ax plus 3 log of a to the base a square x is equals to 0 has the four options: a exactly one real root, b 2 real roots, c no real root, and d infinite number of real roots. तो हमें एक इक्वेशन दी हुई है in terms of log a x and there's a power of 2 also, and we know that a is greater than 0 and a is not equal to 1, and we need to find out कि उसके कितने रूट्स हैं एंड द नेचर ऑफ देयर रूट्स. नाउ इस इक्वेशन में हमें लॉग भी दिख रहा है. आई कैन सी अ पावर ऑफ 2 ऑल्सो. सो इट सीम्स लाइक अ वेरी टफ क्वेश्चन, बट let's see how we go about it.
Exactly. So as we know that log of any number, we know that log of a to the base b, it can be written as log of a divided by log of b. So this is what we use in this question as well. That is, we write this question in the form of 2 log a divided by log x plus log of a divided by log of ax plus 3 log of a divided by log of a square x.
या सो बेसिकली
equal to
हम
zero.
बेसिस को सेम बनाना चाहते हैं लॉग के.
एग्जैक्टली कोई भी अगर किसी भी क्वेश्चन में लॉग इन्वॉल्व हो जाए तो उसे सॉल्व करने के लिए हमें सबका बेस पहले सेम बनाना चाहिए. दैट इज द स्टैंडर्ड बेस, दैट इज e in maths. Now we are given that a is greater than 0 and a is not equal to 1. Since a is greater than 0, therefore we also have that log of a cannot be equal to 0. Thus the denominator in each case is defined. So we take here now log of a, let log of a be b, and log of x we assume it to be y.
We are doing the substitution, I guess, because
To simplify our equation so that we
exactly.
can see what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
So
स्कोप है कि कहीं क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन निकल कर आ सकती है.
Exactly.
तो इसलिए
तो इस इक्वेशन को हम सिंप्लीफाई जब करते हैं वैल्यूज ये वाली दोनों पुट करके, वी गेट द इक्वेशन ऑफ दिस फॉर्म. नाउ वी कैन जस्ट टेक द ब्रैकेट्स कॉमन एंड सॉल्व द इक्वेशन. वी गेट इट ऑफ द फॉर्म 2 इंटू बी प्लस वाई इंटू 2b प्लस वाई प्लस वाई इंटू 2b प्लस वाई प्लस 3y इंटू b प्लस वाई. This comes out to be 0. Now we can just open the brackets and using simple laws of multiplication and addition, we get a quadratic equation of the form 4b square plus 11by plus 6y square is equal to 0. Now as you can see, this is a quadratic in terms of y. Quadratic equation in y. Now we can easily find the value of y. We know that value of y, the two values of y will be minus b plus minus root d by 2a, where a is the coefficient of y square, b being the coefficient of y, and c being the constant term. Thus putting those values, we get minus 11b plus minus root 121b square minus 96b square, and this whole to be divided by 12. As we can see that the term inside the root is obviously greater than equal to 0. Thus we find these two values which come out to be minus 4 by 3 and minus b by 2. Thus we know that y is equal to log x and b is equal to log a. Thus we get that log x is equal to minus 4 by 3b, that is minus 4 by 3 log of a, or log of x is equal to minus half b, that is minus half log of a. Now
Okay.
simplifying these two and removing the log, we get that x is equal to a की power minus 4 by 3 here and x is equal to a की power minus half here. तो हमें पता है कि दिस विल ऑब्वियसली बी अ रियल नंबर और ये भी एक रियल नंबर ही होगा. तो इसलिए हम कहेंगे कि x की 2 रियल रूट्स आएंगे. दैट इज द आंसर टू द क्वेश्चन विल बी द बी पार्ट.
Okay, so in this question we dealt with logarithm, and we used some very basic properties of log, like log of x square is 2 log of x. So yeah,
Exactly. So and to solve the quadratic here is not very difficult as we use the basic properties only.
Yeah.
The catch here was when log is put into the quadratic equation, most of the students just leave it. But when you start solving, it is not really that difficult.
तो
and you just
हमें-
have to बस rules follow करने होते
तो हमें पहले बेस सेम करने की कोशिश करना है, फिर उसको सिंप्लीफाई करने की कोशिश करना है, एंड हमें ट्राई करना है कि अगर सब्सटीट्यूशन से एक सिंपल क्वाड्रेटिक आ सकती है तो वी शुड गो फॉर
क्योंकि
इट.
quadratic के सब रूल्स हमें पता है टू सॉल्व
हाँ, एंड ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है रूट्स की बात हो रही है, दैट मीन्स ऑब्वियसली क्वाड्रेटिक इज इन्वॉल्व समवेयर.
Exactly.
So you should take that cue and substitute to get a quadratic equation. That was question number 4.